Have you ever wondered what goes on behind closed doors? We're about to step into a world that operates in the shadows, the world of secret societies. What are they, really, and what do they want? Let's try and unravel some of the biggest myths and find the truth.
So what really makes a secret society a secret society? It really boils down to two things: secrecy and ritual. It's about what they hide from the outside world and how they celebrate what's on the inside. They create this exclusive club, separate from the rest of us, with its own set of rules and knowledge that's kept completely hidden.
And all that secrecy? For centuries, it's made people suspicious. And the biggest accusation, the one that just won't go away, is a massive one, that they're secretly pulling the strings, aiming for nothing less than total world domination.
So that's the big question, isn't it? Are shadowy groups secretly running the show, or is it all just a bunch of fantastic stories? We're going to dig into it, separating what we know for a fact from some of the wilder theories by looking at a few of the most famous secret societies out there.
Okay, let's start on the campus of one of America's most famous universities, Yale. This is the home of Skull and Bones, a fraternity so exclusive, so powerful, it's been the starting point for presidents, senators, and even directors of the CIA.
I mean, check this out. To get in, new members get these really bizarre, cryptic instructions. It sounds like something straight out of a spy movie, right? But this exact ritual has been happening every April for almost 200 years. The whole point is clear. From moment one, you're thrown into a world of secrecy and codes.
So how do they make sure everyone stays loyal? Inside their headquarters, a windowless building they call the Tomb, members have to confess everything, their entire personal and sexual history, and it all gets written down. This creates this incredibly powerful bond, one that's built on, everyone having dirt on everyone else. With that fear of exposure hanging over their heads, nobody's ever going to betray the group.
This moment just says it all. Back in 2004, George W. Bush and John Kerry were running against each other for president. A reporter asked them about their shared membership in Skull and Bones, and this was the response. Even on the national stage, running for the highest office in the country, that vow of secrecy was unbreakable.
All right, so from a modern-day college fraternity, let's jump back in time. We're going to talk about the group that is, you could argue, the source of almost every conspiracy theory out there, the Illuminati. You hear their name everywhere today, but the real story is probably not what you think.
For a group with such a huge reputation, the actual Illuminati were around for a surprisingly short time. They were founded, they grew to include some really influential thinkers, and then, you can't make this stuff up, they were brought down by a bolt of lightning. Seriously. A courier carrying their secret documents was killed, his papers were found, and the government in Bavaria banned the whole order.
So, what were they actually trying to do? It wasn't really world domination like in the movies. The founder, Adam Weishaupt, wanted to push back against the power of the church and the king. His plan was to get his members into positions of influence so they could slowly, secretly steer society towards reason and science, all without a big violent revolution. Was it radical? Oh, for sure. But a global cabal of puppet masters? Not quite.
But wait a second. If the Illuminati were gone by 1785, why on earth are we still talking about them? Well, a big reason might be sitting in your wallet right now. Yeah, the $1 bill. Conspiracy theorists say it's just covered in Illuminati symbols, a secret message hiding in plain sight.
Let's start with the date you see at the bottom of the pyramid, written out in Roman numerals. MDCTLXXV. That translates to 1776, a year that means two very different things to two different groups of people.
Okay, so officially, 1776 is a huge year in American history, the signing of the Declaration of Independence. But, as we just saw, it also happens to be the exact year that Adam Weishaupt founded the Illuminati over in Bavaria. A total coincidence, or something more? That's the whole debate.
Now look just below that pyramid. We find this Latin phrase. For people who believe there's a hidden agenda, this is probably one of the biggest pieces of evidence. It translates to a new order of the ages. Now, if you're a conspiracy theorist, that sounds an awful lot like a mission statement, doesn't it? A declaration of a new world order, which is supposedly the ultimate goal of the Illuminati.
So let's break down the main symbols here, because there's always two sides to the story. That all-seeing eye floating over the pyramid? Theorists say it's an Illuminati symbol of control. The official explanation is that it's the Eye of Providence, a classic symbol for God watching over the new nation. What about the 13 steps of the pyramid? Could be the 13 ranks of the Illuminati, or it could just be the 13 original American colonies. And that tiny little owl some people say is hidden in the design. For the Illuminati, an owl was a symbol of wisdom, but officials just say it's a meaningless little detail from the printing plate.
You know, to really understand why we're so drawn to these societies, we need to look even further back. This whole desire for secret, exclusive knowledge, it's not new. It's a really ancient part of being human.
Think about the Rosicrucians back in the 17th century. They were on this quest for the Philosopher's Stone, this mythical thing that was supposed to turn lead into gold and make you live forever. Or go way, way back to the ancient Egyptian cult of Isis. Members there went through these secret rituals, hoping to achieve a mystical rebirth and a guaranteed spot in the afterlife. For these groups, secrecy wasn't about power, it was about spirituality.
And here's a really clever trick a lot of these groups used. By claiming they were the direct descendants of these ancient, secret traditions, whether it was the Knights Templar or the Egyptian mystery schools, they basically gave themselves an instant aura of power and legitimacy. It made them seem way more important and timeless than they maybe actually were.
Okay, so we've looked at the facts, we've waded through the fiction. What's the big picture here? Why do these societies and all the myths around them have such a powerful hold on us?
So let's boil it down. First off, these groups tap into a real human need to belong, to feel like you're part of something special. Second, that secrecy is a double-edged sword. It creates those intense bonds, like we saw with Skull and Bones, but it can also be used to hide some pretty bad stuff. Third, that wall of silence is the perfect breeding ground for conspiracy theories. When powerful people refuse to talk, our imaginations fill in the blanks. And finally, and this is a big one, the power of these groups is often way more about the myth than the reality. The idea of the Illuminati is way more powerful today than the actual group ever was.
And that really brings us to our final question, and this one's for you to chew on. In a world that can feel so chaotic and random, is there something, comforting in believing that someone, somewhere, is secretly in control? Maybe our endless fascination with secret societies tells us less about them and a whole lot more about ourselves.